joining us here on Armed Forces Plaza. I'd like some of our veterans organizations, come on up and join us here as well. Before we begin, this is an appropriate place, obviously, for this announcement that we are making here today about our annual Catholic Health Services marathon and half marathon and relay and 5K. It's expanded over the years. But it's such an appropriate place, of course, because this marathon and why we run and who we support is all about our veterans. But before we begin the formal press conference, I want to just say a couple of words about the passing of Senator John McCain. It is, in my view, impossible to overestimate the loss to our country of Senator McCain. As somebody who's involved in government and politics, I have long admired his willingness and his ability to reach across the aisle, to buck his own party when he felt it was right, to stand by his principles, his convictions. Whether I agreed with any particular issue or not, I always admired him for that and looked to him as a model for how you should be conducting yourself in public life, as an elected official, as a public servant. And that, of course, does not even include what we all know about his incredible service and sacrifice for our country. 5.5 years as a prisoner of war from his service in Vietnam, and the courage that he demonstrated during his captivity, the honor with which he at all times conducted himself is an example for every single American. And his passing, in my view, should be a unifying moment for our country, because I don't care what your politics are. I don't care what you believe. I don't care about any specific issue that you're concerned about. If you are an American and cannot come together to say what a loss this is for our nation, then something is wrong. So I wanted to just say that before we began the press conference. I'm honored to be here today, first and foremost, with all of the veterans who are here today, and thank you for your service to our country. I'm here with my colleagues for this announcement, Legislator Sue Berland, who chairs our Veterans Committee, and Legislator William Spencer, who every year hosts a Veterans Breakfast, and I'll talk about a little more about some of the things that he's done with veterans, but I appreciate both of them very much. We're also joined by and very grateful and thankful for this individual and his team, Colonel John McMurray, his service to our country, but also his service as Chief Operating Officer of Good Samaritan Hospital Medical Center, and Good Samaritan, of course, part of Catholic Health Services, that is the title sponsor once again, and we are so grateful to them for their support of this marathon and their dedication and commitment to our veterans. Thank you, Colonel. We are, of course, honored to be joined by members of the 106th here today, and we'll be talking about the 106th. But I want to recognize and thank, and I know he'll be saying a few words in a moment, the wing commander for the 106th, Colonel Mike Bank. And it's been a pleasure and a privilege to really get to know him and to see his leadership during some very difficult times. We're also joined by Colonel Sean Fitzgerald, Vice Wing Commander of the 106th, and Chief Master Sergeant Michael Hewson of the 106, also very proud member of the Suffolk County Police Department, our Emergency Services Unit. Thank you also to Mike Polanski, the president of the Greater Long Island Running Club, who operates the marathon for us. And of course, the person to my left, somebody who is more dedicated to our veterans than anyone that I have seen. And I'm so grateful for his service and really I can't say enough about Tom Renane, Director of Suffolk County Veteran Service. Tom, thank you very much. I want to recognize members of our Veterans Advisory Board who are here, and all of the veterans organizations who are here. First and foremost, I want to say a thank you to Dan Murphy, Gold Star father of Medal of Honor recipient, Michael Murphy, one of the great heroes of our country. And I want to thank Dan for his service in Vietnam to our country and the incredible things that he is doing. Of course, the Run Around the Lake is one of the races in the Suffolk County Veterans Series. And we're looking forward to breaking ground on the new Navy SEAL Museum right here in Suffolk County, for which Dan has been leading the effort. Proud to support that project. Sal Scolato, president of the Korean War Veterans Association. Sal, thank you very much. We hosted a ceremony here recently. Fred DeFabio, Long Island Air Force Association. Great to see you, my friend. We have Brian Mastrangelo from the U.S. Coast Guard, Michael Murphy Cadets, and also Suffolk County Police Officer, very proud. And of course, from the Vietnam Veterans of America and Rolling Thunder, our great friend and leader, Joe Angino, and thank his entire group. And to all the veterans organizations, anyone I may miss, thank you for being here. Also to Judge Jack Toomey, the founding member of the founding presiding judge of the groundbreaking Veterans Court here, which our veterans, and particularly our Vietnam veterans, have been very closely associated with. Judge, thank you for your service to our country and to your service to our vets through the Vets Court. I want to thank Chris McNamara, whose work through the McNamara Foundation over the last decade raised over $500,000 over the last decade for our veterans here. Thank you very much for your work, Chris. To our sponsors, Suffolk County AME, Ryan McGarry's here. We want to thank them. Amity Education Center, Suffolk Bus, Tom McAteer is here. We want to thank them. And of course, all the representatives from Catholic Health Services. And to some of our funding recipients, which is of course why we're here and what we do. Lonnie and Susan Sherman from General Needs. St. Joseph's College, Valerie Esposito. St. Joseph's College has been a great supporter of our veterans, so I want to thank them and of this marathon. Vet Dogs, Sheila O'Brien. From Paws of War, Robert Messeri, Paws of War, what an incredible organization. Thank you to them. And Russell Kaiser, U.S. Army veteran here as well. John Reese and Tom McAteer, again from Make It Count, for their work and so many of the others who have received funding from the marathon. Most importantly, I want to recognize a family member who is here from one of the brave members of the 106 we lost this year, Tech Sergeant Deshaun Briggs. Rebecca Briggs, his wife, is here, and we are honored by her presence. Rebecca, thank you very much for being here and for your family's sacrifice for our country. Thank you, Rebecca. I apologize, and I'm sure I miss people, but I am very sorry. But I am grateful for everyone being here today to join us here on Armed Forces Plaza for this announcement, and an appropriate place to be making these announcements about the 4th annual Catholic Health Services Marathon, Half Marathon, 5K, and Relay Race. We, of course, again want to give a big thank you to Catholic Health Services. They have been our title sponsor now. This will be the 3rd year in a row. They have been a key part of this marathon from its inception, and it is because they are, and I know this in so many different ways, committed to and dedicated to supporting our veterans. And I want to thank you, Colonel. I know you're going to be saying a few words in just a moment. Also want to recognize all the first responders, volunteers, not-for-profit organizations, businesses, families, and friends who have come together to support our veterans, cheer on the runners, and enjoy the Freedom Fest after the marathon. And of course, all of our veterans who are here today. Those who have served in the armed forces are the most critical part of our community here on Long Island and in Suffolk County, form a group that represents more veterans than anywhere else in the state of New York. We are humbled and honored by their resolve and their commitment and their belief. It is our belief that it is our job to do everything that we can to support our veterans to support our service members when they return home here in any way that they need. And of course, we know this past March, 7 members of the 106th Rescue Wing were killed in action, losing their lives in a helicopter crash in Iraq, making the ultimate sacrifice for our nation. Master Sergeant Chris Raguso, Technical Sergeant Deshaun Briggs, Major Chris Zanettis, Major Andres O'Keefe, Captain Mark Weber, Master Sergeant William Posh, and Staff Sergeant Carl Ennis. As a community, all of Long Island has surrounded their families with love and support because of the deep gratitude that I feel, my family feels, and I know Tom and everyone here and families across this county and this island feel for the sacrifice that these individuals have made for our country and that these families have made. It is impossible to ever understand what that means. All that we can do is make sure that we continue to remember and to recognize and to honor that sacrifice. So that brings us to the first major announcement that we're making here this morning. This year's race will be dedicated to the brave service members of the 106th. In honor of their memory, I will be running, and thousands of others will be running with active duty members of the 106th in this year's race. I'm also honored to announce that each of the 4 legs of this year's marathon relay race will be dedicated to the 4 members of the 106th who were killed this past March from our community here. Now, these individuals that we recognize and honor for their sacrifice, they will be part of something that was started last year, and that is the Road to Remembrance. And for anybody who ran the race and ran through that mile of race, which is dedicated to those from our county who have died in service to our country since 9/11, and you see their names and their faces as you are running that stretch of the race, it is both humbling and inspiring at the same time as you run through this marathon. And I want to say a thank you to Legislator Spencer, who brought that to the race, and I know he'll say a few words about that as well. As I run with the members of the 106th this year, they, along with other service members, will have an opportunity to win what we're calling the County Executives Cup. I did not come up with that name, just so you know, but nevertheless, it is called the County Executives Cup, and it is an exciting addition to this year's race. It is a new trophy that will be awarded to the military branch that earns the fastest time in this year's race. Only active duty military personnel who participate in this year's marathon will qualify for that. And the winning branch will be awarded with the trophy, have their names engraved into it, and can take it back to the base until this year's marathon. Tom has noted that there is a lot of space in here for liquid of some kind. Of course, we will not be monitoring that in any way, but we hope that this is a point of pride moving forward in the marathon and in the race for our military branches. As we know, the people serving in our military are among our best, and they are warriors and they are competitors. So I expect we'll be seeing some great competition out of them this year. And I want to say that this trophy This award, this County Executives Cup, which will be engraved with the names of the winners, was donated by Tom Renee and his family. And again, we thank him for his service to our country. Thank you, Tom. So we have received tremendous feedback from the running community on our marathon and half marathons that the routes are fast, although you wouldn't know it from my time. The course is flat. You go through parks and waterfronts and downtowns, through street festivals, and it really, all of those things combined make it a world-class destination for runners. And many runners use this course to set personal records by competing in the Suffolk County Marathon and Half Marathon, and the 5K as well. The course starts and ends in the great village of Patchogue with our mayor, Paul Pontieri. It goes through the downtowns of Oakdale, West Sayville, Bayport, Blue Point, and Patchogue, which will be alive with downtown spectator parties, each of those downtowns. In addition to the downtown, the course also highlights Suffolk's natural beauty and historic buildings, with both the half and full marathons passing the Bourne Mansion on the Amity Education Campus, formerly the St. John's campus, and with the full marathon winding through both Heckscher State Park and Bayard Cutting Arboretum. Each year, the marathon, as we know, raises money for veterans. To date, the Suffolk County Marathon has raised more than $400,000 to support local veterans services. And my thanks once again to Catholic Health Services and to all of our sponsors for helping us to achieve that goal. Over 9,000 runners from 25 different states and countries from all over the world, including Guam, Colombia, and Great Britain, have participated in the race. And last year's recipients, as I said, included Paws of War, Long Island Cares, America's Vet Dogs, St. Joseph's College, Make It Count, United Veterans Beacon House, General Needs, and Association of Mental Health and Wellness, all organizations that are doing incredibly important work for our veterans. I encourage everyone to come out to the races, whether you're running or enjoying the Freedom Fest. Show your support for our veterans. Come out, line the race, participate. There's going to be a fun run this year. There's no excuse for anybody. You can do a fun run, you can walk, you can do a 5K, you can do the relay, honoring our 4 service members from the 106th who were killed this year. You can do a half marathon, you can do a full marathon. Everyone can participate, and no matter what, if you participate, with every step you take, if you run, you are doing something to help veterans.